over the last few days, or maybe even weeks, I've been a bit preoccupied with the war that's happening at the moment in the Middle East. I'm half Lebanese, and I actually lived in Lebanon for over 10 years. So, I spent my formative years there, I think from the age of 14 until 25. So I went to school there, to high school. I studied. I grew up in Lebanon, and it is the most beautiful country, the most amazing country. I am always shocked at how the news portray it. You know, whenever I go back to Germany for a visit, to visit my family, and Lebanon would be on the news, and you see the soldiers and the gravel and the destruction and just that fear. You know, it's you see whatever you see in the news about Lebanon is fear-provoking. But everything I know of Lebanon is beauty, really. It's you have to go, you have to experience it to understand it. It's a life I have not seen anywhere else. And I live in Australia now. I lived in Germany. I grew up there. I still go back. The way people treat you in Lebanon is different. And I mean, it's not all perfect. But there is something very soft and warm, and something that just feels like home, something inviting, something I can't really explain it. You just feel safe. You just feel loved. There is a lightness. There is a lightness. That's it. And looking back, and the difficulties that come with living in, you know, a Middle Eastern country, especially for women, I am still glad that I had made that experience, because I had the best years growing up. People know how to have fun. People know how to love. People know how to live life. It's almost like because they have known death, or because it's death and war is so close to home, that you spend every day sort of living it to the fullest. At the same time, there's so much trauma, and the country is slowly but surely going downhill. Not going downhill, but people are suffering. I mean, I look at what's happening today, and I just think, how much more can you bear? How much more of this can you endure? You know, as a country. It's not easy. I lived through the war in 2006, I think it was, and it was a small one. But I was there. I was in Lebanon, and I had the chance to leave and go to Germany. They were evacuating all the foreigners and anyone who you know, had a foreign embassy, and everyone was asked to leave. I had a lot of friends from overseas, from America and England and even Australia and Europe, and they all left. They went down to the harbor because the airplanes weren't allowed to fly anymore. And they all had to take boats to Cyprus and then fly home, fly to safety from there. And that in itself is an ordeal and scary. And I said I wasn't going to go, and I don't remember why I did that. I was in my early 20s, and I had pets. I had guinea pigs, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to take them with me. And I think I decided to stay so I could look after them. I didn't want to leave them behind. And And that's the 20-year-old brain talking, not really being able to understand what this decision would mean for oneself. So I lived a few weeks through this war. The bombs were flying nonstop. At night, you could see them like fireworks. They lit up the sky. They look quite beautiful, actually, when they come down. They flicker this beautiful light, but then instead of having that gorgeous fireworks explosion in the sky, of course, then it's the destruction and the explosion on the ground. And somehow this really messed with me. It's proper PTSD you get from this sort of stuff. I would sleep at night and then wake up. Anytime there was a loud bang that woke me up, I was terrified that they were coming my way. I lived in an area that usually does not get bombed and that is quite safe, but you never know. And I knew that, as much as my father, who was there with me, told me that we were safe and we would get out if it got worse. In the back of my mind, there's always this, but you don't know, you can't really know. And so at night, I would wake up from the explosions and I was terrified for my life. I thought they were coming up our way and that's it, that's it. I made the wrong decision. I decided to stay and now I'm going to die. And you live that for a few weeks and it does something to you. It does something to your nervous system. For years and years, I would jump at any car backfiring. Any loud noise got me to jump. At first, there was a fear reaction as well. And then after years, that sort of faded. But the jumping continued to stay until even just recently, I think just a few years ago, that now loud bangs don't really make me jump like they used to anymore. So living through war is definitely not something, even if you make it out alive and you didn't really see it, you weren't really in it, it still affects you a great deal and messes with your mind. Definitely messes with your nervous system. So to think what they're going through now, and it is escalating to a point now that is much worse. I don't watch the news at all. So the only stuff that I know is going on is from my friends and family, what they are sharing on social media. And that's a lot at the moment because things are really getting out of hand. There's talk of genocide, which I can understand and see as well, not of the Lebanese people, but the Palestinians. It is a genocide. And it's funny how it's coming from the Israelis, that the Jews are now the ones committing this genocide. This whole situation, and people are in uproar and they're so upset with what's happening and why is no one doing anything. There are protests. Politicians are, we don't know what's going on, what their aim is, why they're doing this. I'm sure it's not the Israelis and the Lebanese doing this, but there are bigger hands at play. But I don't want to get into this at all. This is not an episode about politics. I just wanted to sort of set the stage and explain on a large scale how it is. I am preoccupied with it because I am very scared. My father is still in the country. My relatives are in the country, in Lebanon. And it's not safe. From what I'm hearing and seeing, I'm scared. I don't know. I feel quite helpless. There's nothing I can do. I can check in, ask if everything's still okay. What are your plans? What's going to happen? And that's it. And then I sit here. And there's nothing I can do. And then there are people who are rallying. and donating, and people who are going, who have more influence, who are speaking up, who are sharing and trying to convince and try and stop the war and try and help. And there's, lots of people are doing a lot of good things. But then if you are not affected by this, then it's hard to sort of comprehend or even feel for it. And it's not personal, if these countries don't really affect you. I know this is harsh to say, but I know how it is. It's sort of like, oh, it's them, it's not me, it's not my people. It's absolutely terrible, but it just doesn't affect me on a personal level because, I have nothing to do with it. And I get it, because I was like that with the war in Russia. I mean, I thought it was absolutely horrible. And the little bit of footage I saw made me cry, and I felt for them, for the people, and for what was going on. But it was still not personal. There was a level of removal. I saw it and I cried, and it was like I'm crying for those people. They weren't me. There was a division, It was them suffering, and I felt so bad for them. For them, not me. And it's a I don't know, I feel like it's a very subtle change, and it happens in the mind, it happens in your head. It's just one thought, them or me, It's one thought to say, it's like if you hear, oh my God, there's war, or someone got shot, oh, there was a shooting. Oh my God, where? In your neighborhood. Oh my God, not my neighborhood. Where? What happened? Oh, those people, and this person got killed, and and then you're like, oh my God, oh, terrible, absolutely terrible. And you feel horrible, and it's close to home. And of course you have emotions, you're human, you have emotions, and you feel terrible. But then if someone says, well, it happened in your neighborhood, it's like, oh my God, what, where, who? And then they say somewhere where it's close to like where your brother lives, and you're like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Where exactly? What happened? Do you have names? And then you find out your brother got shot. It's a whole different ball game, Then it's not like, oh my God, I feel terrible, because it's not going out anymore. It's not going out to someone different, to someone else. Now you are affected personally. And your mind straight away goes to, I have lost. This is my loss now. This is personal. And you feel this grief and pain that is on another level, completely on another level. And I think that's basically the deciding factor of peace or war in the world. And it starts in the mind. It starts so close to you. It starts right between your eyes. The simple belief of us and them, of me and you, of us and other. And we decide that. I don't know, how do we decide that? It's just the mind just decides. I mean, obviously family, but then you've got friends. And then there are these friends where they are like family, and you would have that reaction. And then maybe there are friends where it's still a bit other, because they're not as close. And where do you draw that line of me and mine and other? And you can't harm yourself or yours, You always sort of protect against other. You have to fight against other. There is other is fear. I'm scared, so I'm not going to, allow you in. I'll keep you at a distance. And if anything bad happens, you're going to go into this fight mode and protect. You'll protect your child from the bully, because your child is yours and the bully is other. And you can start this on a very small scale, even where it's not even another person outside of you, but where it's happening inside your own head. You fight yourself. If you just think of your thoughts, how you're constantly conflicted internally, because you don't know who you are. And, should I do this? Should I do that? I shouldn't have said that. And, why did he say this to me? And I'm going to show him next time. And, because someone has touched on something in you and you're triggered. And now you have this internal conflict happening that is completely imagined. It's not between you and another person. You were triggered and now there's this going on. Or even forget someone doing something and then you're battling it internally. But it could just be yourself. Let's say you have a desire that sort of gets in your own way. You have a desire, say, you really want to eat pizza, but you also want to lose weight because you're heading into summer and you got to look a certain way. That's a whole other topic, God. But so you got to fit into this bikini. So you're on a diet, strict diet, and now here comes your desire for pizza, right? What do? You are not comfortable inside, right? You're fighting yourself. You're battling against your desires, and most of the time, as we all know, our desires win. We're not strong enough. That's why dieting is so difficult, as an example. And so with this uncertainty that is in your head, this storm, thought storm happening inside your head, emotions and thoughts running wild, you have no control, even over yourself. Now with this, you show up in the world. And the first place you show up is in your family, in your home. And you've got your partner, maybe you have children. If you're alone, you'll have your best friend, or you'll have your work colleagues, you'll have your parents, you have your siblings. You've got those people closest to you, and they're your first encounter, in the outside world. And now you show up with your mind a complete mess, completely muddied. There's no clarity. And chances are they are too. They have the same mind. It's muddied, it's cloudy, they have no control. And now you clash. And that's where the war at home starts. Now we have abuse. Now we have neglect. Now we have, name calling, and we've got the victim and the villain. And it's just, this is the small war and how it starts at home. Now you've got division, I want this and you're not letting me, or, you promised me and you didn't keep your promise, and now I'm upset with you. And then there is, you're upset with me and I can't deal with it, so I'm gonna go and get drunk and ruin my life. Obviously not consciously. And there's all this stuff happening, and people are unable to control it and unable to step out of it because they can't control themselves. They can't control their own minds. They have desires that they can't control. They jump around like headless chickens, and you have no clue what you're doing. Now, on a larger scale, I'm just going to jump straight to the war. Now, on a larger scale, you've got countries at war, and all these little people, meaning all the individual people, are now jumping at, oh my God, how horrible, and I hate this. And they're rallying, and they're picking a side and fighting, because they don't know what's going on internally, as no one does. The people starting the war are probably more lost than any of us. And it's all these individuals almost fueling the war. It's this division in the mind that fuels separation. And separation is where all of this stems from. All of it. Starting in your own head with your own thoughts of, I have this desire. I shouldn't have it for whatever reason. How do I stop it? And I can't stop it. Or I have this desire, I go after it. Now I feel guilty. How do I deal with this guilt? I push it away. I don't know how to deal with it. And you're just in this loop. And there's all these energies happening in you and no one to control them. It's just, what are you doing? You're just sitting there, you're watching all these thoughts, all these feelings, these emotions come up. And it's all playing out and you're just watching. No one's interfering. You're not interfering. Like you have no power over it. And your life is just being lived. And you're on the passenger seat just going like, holy shit, oh my God, like what a mess. I'm sick of this. But still, no one's doing anything. You see how this is all on the small scale, on the scale of just you? Why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you stopping this? You're going to keep messing up. You're going to keep doing the same thing. And you regret it every time and you feel terrible after. And yet, what do? Nothing. You cry about it. You make it worse. You try harder, which tips you over into, the desire even more. And there's just this war internally between, the trying to control life, trying to control this energy, trying to violently hold down your desires for whatever it is. And you are fighting internally. And it's not working. And it will never work. Never. And you know that it doesn't work because you've been doing it your whole life. You know it doesn't work. You try and you try and you try and you fail and it doesn't work. And then you think, okay, I'll try it differently. And you've been doing this your whole life. And at some point, you've got to just recognize, sit back and just realize, yes, this is what I have been doing my whole life. And yes, it does not work. And you need to realize that as long as you're coming from a perspective of a point of different, separate, good, not good, there is a separation and you are fighting something. You're fighting something inside of you. You're fighting a desire, you're fighting an impulse, you're fighting an urge, or whatever it is. As long as you are fighting something, you will lose. You have lost. Because whatever is fighting is also not really you, and is also a part that wants something that is creating the desire, for example, in the first place. It is something that is a part of you, and as just a part of you, it wants to be whole. And to be whole, it thinks, if I just get this, I'll be whole, and then I'll be fine, and I'll be loved, and I'll be safe. And that is what creates the desire in the first place. Anything you're ever craving, desiring, wanting, any urge that pops up in you is the desire to be whole, is the desire to be loved, the desire to be safe. And you can't have that from the point you're looking from, because you're looking from mind. You're looking from, I am this person, this body, this is my mind, these are my thoughts, these are my memories, these are my wants and my wishes. This is my personality. From that point, you will never be whole. You will never reach that which you think you're looking for in your life. Mainly, that's love. Everyone always just wants love, no matter what they're doing. Even work, making lots of money. It's about love, because if I have a lot of money, then I will be loved. It all boils down to love. I will make myself look really pretty, and then someone will fall in love with me, and then I will be happy. I will be saved. Then I can relax and just, I've reached that which I have always wanted, to be loved. And obviously, as we know, that you're never fulfilled. Another person never fulfills you, because another person can't fulfill you. The part in you that wants to be fulfilled is the part in you that is the cause of not being fulfilled. Does that make sense? I'll say it one more time, if I can remember. The part in you that wants to be fulfilled is the part in you that caused the separation in the first place, that can never be fulfilled, because it is that which stands in the way of fulfillment. And that's your mind, that's your ego. When you are identified with your ego, with your person, your personality, who you are, your body, your thoughts, then this is the bit that stops you from realizing your truth, what you truly are. And it is that which you truly are that is whole, that is fulfilled. Once you recognize that, once you detach yourself from your ego and realize, that's not me, I am somewhere else, that is your freedom. And you will not have any desires anymore. You will see the desires arise still in the ego, but you will know very profoundly, you will just know that that's not me. And then that because of the separation and that knowing, you don't have to act on it. You don't have to blindly follow your desires, your wants, your needs. It's so clearly seen as a separate entity of something that is just happening in this world, as it is happening in every human being. And you can watch it peacefully. There's nothing you have to do. So all you really need to do, and this is so tough, right? It's a show that is so thick, It's hard to come away from it, to detach from this ego, this whole illusion of I'm the body and the mind, and these are my thoughts and my words, and this is who I am, this is my identity. It's so thick that it is almost impossible for people to see past it. But it is the one thing in the way of wholeness, of love, of real love, unconditional love. As long as you think that you are this person, you will go out trying to find love in the world, trying to find love outside of yourself. And it is exactly that person, that ego, that will never be fulfilled. So it doesn't matter what you find in the world, how much love you find in the world, and how perfect you think it is. It will never fulfill you. It will never scratch the itch. Never. It won't touch it. For a little while, you'll be happy. For a little while, the ego will be in paradise and think, this is it. I've got it. Until the day, or until the hour, sometimes it's not even a day, until the day they say something wrong, or they do something wrong that you just did not want, because in your head you've got this perfect image of what love is and how it's meant to play out. And one day it just won't be like that. And you're going to freak, and your mind's going to not like it and push against it and start fighting and start bickering and start pulling away and start thinking, oh crap, this wasn't it after all. Let me look somewhere else. And it starts with little things, and you have a fight and you get over it and you continue again, and it keeps happening and happening and happening, and it'll chip away over days, over weeks, over months, over years, until you're back in the same boat of, oh my God, I want love. I'm so lost. I'm so miserable. Where did I go wrong? Why can't I find the right person? Why can't I find the right job? Why can't I? There is just a constant lack, because the mind, your ego, will not be satisfied ever. And no matter what it gets, it'll pick it apart. And life can never be the way you want it exactly. Never. If you got life to be exactly the way you want it, then that means that everyone gets life to be exactly the way they want. And then how's that going to work with 8 billion people in the world? It's impossible. You can't have life the way you want it. Life is the way it is. You have to accept that. To accept that, you need to stop wanting it to be different. And that's your ego. Your ego needs to stop saying, we want it this way, we want it that way. Without this, I won't be happy. I need that to be happy. Or take that away and I'll be happy. You don't always have to gain something, but sometimes it's just like, I hate you, I don't want you anymore, go away. Now, if you're identified with ego and you believe all of these wants and desires and dislikes and aversions, if you're in it and you think this is you, then you're going to play your whole life as this character that you are, and it's going to be very serious and very difficult and time-consuming to make everything happen the way that you need it to, so that you can be calm and happy and peaceful, which you are not, because it's impossible for the ego to ever be happy and peaceful, except for a little while. And then you're going to spend your whole life just controlling everything to be exactly this way, otherwise I don't feel good. And your whole life will be, instead of living your life, it'll be controlling your life and controlling all the lives around you. And you'll get upset at the weather because today it wasn't meant to rain because I planned a picnic. And even the world is against me and you hate the rain. And it's really as small as this. And you take that to a larger scale, and then that's where you start war. This is the war that's inside of you against everyone else because you want it your way. And you just, take it out. The scale gets larger, and you have got now nations saying, I'm right, you're wrong. I want my freedom. And you are in the way of my freedom, so I'm going to fight you, you're my enemy. It starts very small in your head, and then it gets very large in the world. And then you've got it between nations. And right now, me being Lebanese, I am not on the side of Lebanon. I love Lebanon and I love the Lebanese people. I love them. And I wish this war ends. I wish that no one gets killed anymore. And I'm praying for them, and I hope they're safe. And I don't want not a single bomb to fall on Lebanon anymore. I pray for that. But at the same time, I wish the same thing for Israel. I wish the Israelis peace. I wish them, I love them. I try to love them as much as the Lebanese and as the Palestinians, because I know that underneath we are all the same. And that nations and nationality mean absolutely nothing. And if it means something to you, then that's ego. Then that's something that you're holding on to, and you're dividing. You are taking human beings and you're saying, these are my people and these are not my people. These are other. And I'm going to be on the side of my people and fight those others. And that's a label that you are putting on human beings. It's a label that is completely made up. It's fabricated by the ego. You are just taking what you're hearing from other people and you're saying, okay, well, that's my truth now too. And it is causing you a lot of pain and separation, because now you have to be with these people. You can't be with them. So you're breeding separation by buying these labels blindly. And you are dehumanizing us. You are dehumanizing us. just because someone is born on this patch of dirt on this earth instead of another patch of dirt means that now we can't be friends. Now we can't. We are different. We are other, and we have to watch our backs and fight each other because someone says so. Even though we don't know each other, and even though we could be best friends, even though we could start a family and be happy together and live peacefully together, some people say, you are other than me and I need to fear you, so I'm going to guard myself against you. And I'm just going to pray for these people here who are mine, and I'm going to be against you and fight you just because. I have not seen any faces. I don't know these people. I've not looked into their eyes. But I tell you, if I looked into the eyes of an Israeli, I would not see an Israeli. I would not see an enemy. I would see a soul. I would see another human being. And it would be a human being that I could love and that I would love. And you would too. It's this whole, you look into another person's eyes, you see their soul, and there's no fear. There is no hatred. If you are quiet and you look into the eyes of another person, there can only be love. There can't be anything else. And you know this. We don't do it a lot. We don't look at other people's eyes silently, peacefully a lot. Sometimes we maybe look while we are guarded and in a conversation, and it's quick and fleeting, and I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about a really, really sitting down and looking into someone else's eyes. You will not be able to hate them. And that is because you can sense something, you can intuit something when you see someone else's eyes that goes beyond your ego, that goes beyond me and you. It is exactly that sense that you get when you see another human's eyes. That soul that you sense, that is the togetherness. That is the oneness that we all share. And if we can all recognize that in every single human being, that there is for us no more war, there is for us no more separation. There is a realization that we are all one. We are all this one consciousness. And we can recognize that in each other if we are quiet enough. And from here, we then see, okay, we're different bodies, we're different minds, we have different ideas, and we don't jump and react to it because we have now this new profound realization that we are all one. And as the one, we can play, we can be different. We can look different and say different things and speak different languages and eat different foods. And isn't that fascinating? Wow, here you are. Look at what you're eating. Look at what I'm eating, Isn't it fantastic? Isn't it amazing? Let's share. Let me try your stuff. Here, try my stuff. This is the beauty of life. You want everything to be different. You want to be able to experience the differences, different opinions, different foods, different dances, different languages, different ways of dressing, different ways of making things. That's the richness and the color of life, right? But you need not get lost in it. It is not me and you. It's not you're different. I don't like you. I'm scared of you now. That's the ego. Let go of your ego. You need to recognize the oneness beyond all of this and live life from there. And then you can appreciate all of it. I mean, oh my God, there is so much land. There is enough land for the Israelis and the Palestinians and the Lebanese and more. We could all just live peacefully. But it has to start with yourself. You cannot rally and get upset and throw hate out there against whoever is not you and demand freedom for just your people. It is a freedom for everybody. And you need to start in your own head, between your own eyes. Find that ego and just put it in its place. Or not even, your ego isn't even bad. It's like it doesn't want to run the show. It's almost like do it a favor, do it a favor and put it out of its misery and take charge. Recognize what we are beyond this ego, so the ego can finally rest. I mean, you have no idea how peaceful it can be in your head, where these thoughts come up, and then it's like, okay, a thought came up in my, and that's okay. And then it just goes again. And you're just free of this stuff. You're free of this constant anxiety and shame and guilt. And it's just, you're free of it. And it allows you to act in a better way too. You can be kinder. You can be nicer. You can be all-inclusive. You can see the ego in other people. You can see other people screaming and yelling and getting all upset. And you can allow them to be like that. You can allow them to be upset because you know why they're upset, and that's fine. You get upset. You sometimes scream and can't control it. That's okay. We're all human. We're all in this together. So they can scream and, yell and have hate and anger, and you can remain silent. You don't have to latch on and retaliate and intensify the whole thing. Once you retaliate, you intensify the flame, you intensify the violence. If you stay calm and you don't interact, it will die down. It has to die down. There's nothing to keep it alive. It's like a dance between two people. If you stop dancing, it's not a dance anymore. That person will dance alone and then sort of go like, okay, well, I don't have my partner, so I can't dance. It's like a boxing fight. If only one guy shows up, I mean, what are you going to fight? There has to be another. So the ego needs another ego to keep it going, to intensify, to feed it. And you feel the pull, like with the war. I feel the pull. People are outraged and they're saying things, and I'm just like, what is happening? Oh my God, because I don't know the whole story, because I'm not watching the news, but I hear these little snippets, and I'm just thinking, what? This is not happening. This is impossible. I can't bear it. And then I almost go and search. I want to know more. And that is that ego. That let me know more. Let me pick a side. Let me, or let me feel bad for all of them. It's this, it's so subtle, but it's a big, big pull. It is so, so strong. And to just keep recognizing, okay, let go. Just let go. There's nothing we can do from the ego, from the mind, that will help. The best thing anyone can do is to be peaceful, to speak up peacefully, to share love, to remind people that we are all human, to love everyone, to stop fighting, to not take sides. And that is hard. I know it is hard. If you're ego and that's all you are, and someone's fighting your country and you're under attack, it's nearly impossible. Maybe it is impossible, and you can't really expect this sort of awakening to happen during the war. But from people who are on the outside, let them at least not intensify the war by being outraged, by sharing fear, by sharing anger. But let them at least be the ones to take a breath and then just share love and share peace. And then after this is all done and people sit down and try and heal, and then in the healing we can come together and we can still share the love and the togetherness until everyone recognizes for themselves that we are all one, and there's nothing to fight except that demon between our two eyes. It's just that ego. It really is. It's anything you see in this world, anything that's cruel, anything that's violent, stems from the ego. And the ego is like a little dysfunction, you know? The dysfunction is that we accidentally identified with it, that we accidentally fell asleep and woke up thinking we are the ego, that we are this person. And that's where all of this violence stems from. And all it takes really is just this knowledge, you know, this recognition of, not me, not who I am, not what I am. I am far more than that. And once you really see that, and it is something that you need to experience, that you need to feel and really live. And once you do that, violence falls away. And there's nothing greater you can do for this world than to find your own peace, to find your own self. So that at least from you, from your little vessel, there's a light coming that unites instead of divides.